I had the most miserable weekend I've had since becoming a furry when I went to Ocean Shores, Washington for the Furvana convention. The convention was great, the weekend not so much. I'll tell you all about it coming up next. Oh, hello. I'm Fenric the Forgotten Wolf, and I'm going to tell you about my weekend in Ocean Shores, Washington for the Furvana convention. But before we get into that, my name is Fenric, I am the Forgotten Wolf, I am a brand new furry and a brand new YouTube content creator. I have been doing this for about 8 months now, and I'm going to keep saying I'm new until I cross the 1-year mark. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you. We are at almost 1,500 subscribers. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching my videos, for liking, and particularly for commenting. I feel like I have some of the best commenters on YouTube. Y'all are great. All right. Okay. Do you want to know what happened to me in Ocean Shores for the Furvana convention? Well, of course you do. Why else would you be here? So let's just dive right in, shall we? So look, I want to share my experience from the weekend of Furvana. The convention itself was incredible. It's a very small convention, very intimate, less than 1,500 attendees. But the energy, the creativity, the community, that all reminded me so much of why I love being a part of the furry fandom and why I love being a furry. And I really do love being a furry. We'll come back to that, I promise. But my furry friends, I also have to be real with you. While the Furvana convention was definitely a highlight, the weekend as a whole ended up being one of the hardest I've had since joining the fandom. There were, let's just say, personal challenges that really impacted my ability to enjoy much of the trip at all. I really want to speak honestly about what happened because I think it's important for me to acknowledge something that had such a huge impact on how I feel existing in this community. But, okay, to just address the elephant in the room for a second. Yeah, y'all knew I was going to have to go here. This video is not about calling anyone out, okay? It's about sharing my experience, trying to process what I went through, and hopefully coming out the other side of this more knowledgeable and with a deeper understanding of myself and my place in this community. You know, my furry friends, convention horror stories are all over YouTube, but I never expected in a million years to have the experience that I ended up ultimately having. That experience changed me. That's just not hyperbole. I am not the same furry I was before that weekend. So, with that said, let's dive into Furvana 2025, both the magic and the mess. Well, all right, my furry friends, there are really 5 days in this story. Because you see, I learned my lesson at Furlandia and realized that I wanted to be there for the entire convention. So that means getting there the day before and leaving the day after it's done. So this video is going to be broken down into the 5 days. So day number 1, which was the day before the convention actually started. So this would be Thursday. So my convention roommate and I were already kind of not getting along. Because by the time I got to his house to pick him up, I realized he was just really stressed about stuff to do with the events he was planning. And yeah, I mean, it's not like we were being mean to each other or anything, but, I could just kind of tell. And really, there was some kind of tension building between us that was going to erupt at the end of the weekend. But this was definitely the start of it. Okay, so we are caravanning with some other folks up to Ocean Shores, where the Furvana convention is. And by a complete coincidence, we are all staying at the same hotel. So, we eventually get out of town, we get on the road. Halfway up, there is an incident. I am just going to say there was an incident, and I was the one who foolishly tried to de-escalate the situation. But anyway, so that was about halfway up. The next half of the trip was very weird, and I really had to just kind of bite my tongue for a lot of it. And but anyway, finally we get to Ocean Shores, and it's it's like after midnight when we get there, so completely dark. One thing I will say about the city of Ocean Shores is they do not seem to believe in streetlights there. So if you're around at night, it is completely dark. Both a blessing and a curse. But anyway, we get there, it's after midnight. We get checked into the hotel. And, I'm starting to unpack my stuff, and I'm really tired by then because I really haven't slept since Wednesday night. No, Tuesday night. Wait, we left on Thursday. Didn't really sleep Wednesday night. So yeah, Tuesday night was the last time I'd gotten any sleep, or much sleep. So I was exhausted by then, and I just kind of wanted to unpack my stuff and go to bed. But my roommate is yeah, but we're here. This is a party con. Let's go party. And so sure enough, the other people that we caravanned up with, we all meet them, out in the hallway in the hotel, and we go walking off in the middle of the night to, somebody's place. And yeah, that was really interesting because we were walking down this completely dark road at 1:00 in the morning. And I'm kind of hanging back from the group at this point, and I'm thinking oh my God, what in gay hell am I doing here? I'm just an old wolf. It's very late. It's very cold. What the hell? So we get to the place, and there's people I know there, and so I get a nice big hug from someone, and oh my God, I appreciated that so much. I really needed a hug right then. So anyway, we hang out there for a while. We, go back to the hotel and go to bed. But I mean, it's really late. It's really late by then. And I think I end up getting maybe 2 hours of sleep before, waking up the next morning. But yeah, okay, that was the first day. Not really that great of a first day, considering everything. All right, so Friday, I wake up and I'm kind of hungry because I haven't eaten anything since Wednesday at that point. And so I go to try and check out the free hotel breakfast. Oh, my furry friends. I don't know if it was just I got there late or something, but I mean, it was sausages that were cold and yucky. I took one bite and I was nope, that's not for me. And then they had these hash browns, and the hash browns were hard as a rock. I was bashing it on the table like this, and it was going bam, 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 and it wouldn't break. I don't know. Those could be a deadly weapon. And the coffee had pretty much run out. I think I got a final cold half of a cold cup of coffee, and they never refilled it. So yeah, the breakfast was a bust. And my furry friends, I had not planned to actually go to the convention until the afternoon on Friday. I just wanted to chill out and kind of see if I could recharge some on Friday morning, because there was really nothing going on as far as events on Friday morning. It was literally pretty much just registration. And I mean, I think Dealer's Den was opening up and stuff like that. But opening ceremonies weren't even until the afternoon. So my original plan was to go pick up my badge in the afternoon and then hit up the opening ceremonies. So I'm sitting there in the place in the hotel where they serve the breakfast, and a roommate comes in, kind of looks around, decides that the breakfast is definitely not for him either, and was like, "Come on, let's go. Let's go over and pick up our badges." And I'm trying to be, I'm just like, okay, fine, let's go. So we walk over to the convention center. It's about a block and a half away from our hotel. Now, my furry friends, I have not given you any description of what the town of Ocean Shores is like, because it was pitch black, basically, when we got there the night before, because it was so late. And like I said, they don't believe in streetlights. So in the light of day, I got to see what the place actually looks like. So how to describe Ocean Shores? It is this beachfront, touristy, sleepy little town in upstate Washington. And it does not seem like a place that you would think there would be a furry convention. But nonetheless, so the roommate and I, we go over and we get in line at the convention center to pick up our badges. All right, so I'm there to pick up my badge, as well as the other items that they give you with the upper tier registration. So, badge, and then the con book, of which my name appears in, woohoo, and of course the t-shirt. Isn't that cool? I really love this shirt. And my furry friends, this item will come back into the story on the next night, because they also had this awesome Furvana branded backpack. Very cool. So yeah, all of that came with my ticket. Now, the first thing that strikes me after I kind of go through the registration and kind of get all that stuff and I'm kind of just hanging out, I'm not in suit at this point, by the way, is that it's a very small convention center. Like, there are maybe like 3 rooms, actually maybe 4 rooms for panels, but there's really only 2 rooms for panels because one of them is the Headless Lounge and the other one is Con Ops. So there's really only 2, I would say, quite small rooms to actually hold events in besides the main theater. Outside of the main theater, there's like another little area, and that's where they have the Dealer's Den. So I'm kind of just checking out, the layout of the place, and I see where what they call the main theater is, where the opening ceremonies are going to be. And I'm kind of wandering around, mingling. I see, and most furries that were there for registration were not in suit. There were just a few that were in suit. But of course, as soon as I get in a place with other furries that are in suits and I see them in suits and I'm not, I immediately go, oh my God, I really want to be in suit. So roommate is like, yeah, I need to go start setting up for my event. And so he kind of takes off, and I also, at this point, just head back to the hotel because I want to go get in suit. So, all right. I'm back at the hotel. I am getting in suit, and then I head back to the convention center by myself. This is one thing that was very different about Furvana for me than Furlandia, was that Furlandia, I had a handler, the most awesome handler that ever existed, I have to say. I had a handler who, was incredibly helpful. I did not have a handler at Furvana. And it's not just walking around inside a hotel like Furlandia was, right? It's like literally walking around in the city. So that was interesting. I really did not have appropriate footwear for that because these are my these are my inside feet. I try not to wear those outside, although I did the other day. But I have these other things that are like actually just women's boots, but they're like black and furry. But they're not actually boots. They're technically slippers, and so they really weren't meant for like outdoor wear. But that's what I've been wearing outside. And those got totally destroyed. Okay, so I go back to the convention center, kind of hanging out, take some pictures, give some hugs. End up in the front row of the theater for the opening ceremonies. Now, opening ceremonies are always usually just a bunch of silliness. You know, they kind of try and tell you what to expect at the con. And the thing that caught my attention, though, was this.
Now, before you take to the sands, a word on beach safety. Don't drive into the water. Stick to the packed sand. Happens every year.
Every year.
Keep an eye on the tides. They roll in fast on this flat shore. And alcohol is allowed on the beach, but not in the car.
The fact that alcohol is completely allowed on the beach. I mean, cool. But knowing, kind of all of the parties that were going to be going on down there, I was kind of like, that's probably not going to end well. But, whatever. All right. So the opening ceremonies are done, and I decide I'm going to head to the beach just to see what's going on. So I get out of there. I head down to the beach. It's actually quite a long way, and I have to tell you, my furry friends, walking through the sand with those slippers on, that was definitely not a good idea. That was a very difficult walk. But okay, so finally I find where the party is going on, and they've got because they're using my car, right, to transport the gear to the beach. And this was all set up ahead of time. Right? Someone was supposed to be responsible for it. There was a designated driver, people I trusted, blah, blah, blah. It was fine. But I get there on the beach and the tailgate's open. Now, on my car, it has kind of like a battery issue. It's not like anything wrong with the car. It's just kind of a design defect. That the battery will die very quickly under many circumstances. So they've got the tailgate open for absolutely no reason. And when you do that, it turns on the lights. And there's no way to defeat that. So the lights are on as long as the thing's open. And so I'm telling them, oh my God, don't do that. You're going to run down the battery. Don't have the tailgate open. Don't leave the doors open. Don't run anything off the car, even if the engine is running, because it will absolutely kill the battery. Which, is kind of an eventuality I sort of planned for, but we'll get to that. So, all right, I tell them about the thing. We close the tailgate, and there's really not much of a party out there at that point. There's like 5 or 6 people, kind of dancing around, and so I don't know. I'm a dancing wolf, so I got out there in the sand in my completely inappropriate shoes and kind of got jiggy with it. But okay, so after a little while, I'm like, okay, I think I need a break before tonight, because there was a bunch of stuff at the con I wanted to get to Friday night. So I start to leave the beach. Okay, so I'm leaving the beach, and I'm coming up to the place where the beach meets the city, and I run into some people I know, and I think they were going to go get food or something, which I totally should have tried to invite myself along with, because at this point I still had not eaten a damn thing since Wednesday, and it's now getting on to be Friday evening. So, but I'm like, okay, I see a liquor store. I'm going to go get a bottle of something. I ended up actually having more cash than I anticipated to have in Ocean Shores. So I was okay. I was like, okay, I can afford a little something to have in the room. So I go up to the liquor store, and it's in this little kind of nautical themed strip mall kind of a place. And at this point, I don't really know, are the locals really furry friendly, or what's the deal? I don't really know. So I dehead myself to go into the liquor store, which, by the way, you should always do if you're going to a public establishment. Now, if they've already told you it's okay, cool, right? But I do not suggest going into any kind of public establishment wearing a fursuit head. all right, so I dehead myself. I go into the liquor store. I find what I want. I go to purchase it. And the lady behind the counter is like, what are you supposed to be? Because, I didn't have my head on. So I picked up my head and I held it up next to me like this. And I said, bitch, I'm a wolf. Okay, I didn't say that, but I just said I'm a wolf. And she's like, oh my God, I love wolves. That's why I watched all of Game of Thrones. I don't know what she's talking about. I have never seen Game of Thrones. All right, but I get my bottle, and I walk back to the hotel. And obviously I'm dying in the suit by then, so I've been in suit for like pretty much the entire afternoon at this point. So I get out of the suit, I get showered and everything, and I go get some ice, and have a little of the scotch I bought. But before I did that, I actually had to eat something because I had not eaten since Wednesday. So I'm like, okay, there's no way I can even do just one little drink on a completely empty stomach. So I end up warming up in the microwave the food that we got for roommate the night before, which he only ate a little bit of. And so I warmed, it was like fried chicken, like fried chicken and fries. And so I warmed that up and I ate some of that, and that's fine. And I had some of my scotch, and kind of just rested in the room for a little bit. So actually, by this point on Friday, the trip had not gone all that bad, and Friday night was even good up to a point. So I end up going back to the convention. I think I get, there's cars driving by on the road, and of course I'm walking in full suit, and so they're honking and waving and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of interesting, like just suiting around the town. And so I get back to the convention, and the dance party's going on, and actually maybe I was there right before, but I was there for the dance party, and I definitely had a few drinks, maybe a little bit more than a few. And I was I was feeling pretty nice. Now they had an amazing Headless Lounge. Like I definitely made quite a lot of use of the Headless Lounge, particularly during the dance party, because this old wolf, you get me dancing for 10 or 15 minutes and I am completely overheating. So yeah, they had one of these contraptions in the Headless Lounge. Okay, my furry friends, I don't know if you've ever seen these. Apparently they did have one at Furlandia, but like it was broken, so that's why I didn't see it. But it's this weird contraption where it's like a bunch of pipes, like PVC pipes it looks like. And there's like a fan hooked up to these pipes. And so the fan is blowing the air through these pipes. And what you're supposed to do is you take your fursuit head off and you put it on the end of one of these pipes, and it blows cool air through your fursuit head to kind of like air it out and dry it out. And that was like the most awesome thing ever, which I made a lot of use of. Yeah, that is really awesome, because like if you're not a fursuiter, you may not know that one thing you never ever want to do is use any heat on a fursuit. Particularly not a fursuit head, because there might be glue involved. Fake fur does not react well to heat and can just literally melt. So yeah, you never want to try and dry a fursuit with heat. All right, so I was there. So I was at the dance party, and I was there for the furry relationship advice panel. Now, I really needed to hit that one up because I had pre-submitted a question. I bet you can all guess what my question was about. So my question, I wrote it much better than I'm about to say it, but it was basically like, the gist of it was, hey, I'm a brand new furry. How do I tell the difference between another furry actually being interested in me and just being completely flirty, because that's what furries do? And my question did actually get answered. And it was, it was a nice long answer, but the gist of it was pretty much, we'll just ask. But no, that was actually a really great panel. It was led by Sean the Girl, who has a psychology degree, and Eric the Odd. And they were both like really, really cool. Like I really had an awesome time at this panel, and sort of like every question that came up, not that I'm any expert in relationships, obviously, my furry friends, but I felt like I had something to say at almost every question. And I'm sitting in the front row. By the way, I am the only one there in full fursuit. So I've got my head on. I'm sitting in the front row, and so, I'm like contributing to the discussion and talking to people and like that are all sitting behind me, and it was that was a good time. Now that was supposed to be like a 1 hour panel, but we were still in there at, like, it was supposed to go 10 to 11. We were still in there at 11:30. So I was planning to get a little bit more of dance party time in because it went till midnight. So, okay, my furry friends, this is the point that the trip starts to go terribly, terribly wrong. There've been some bumps already, but yeah, this was really the start of the entire weekend going south. So, at least I had one kind of good day on Friday. But all right, I'm sitting there at the end of, and the panel's like wrapping up, and my phone starts going crazy. I had no less than 8 people messaging me or trying to call me about my roommate because something was going on the beach. I don't even know. I'm not even going to get into any of that, okay? Everybody, I guess they thought that, like, I was his keeper or something. I mean, okay, yeah, I understand why, but, I was just the roommate. But, I'm really worried at this point, to be honest, and so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going back to the dance party. I am heading to the beach. So I head out of there, still in full suit, heading down to the beach, and, on my way there, I'm getting messages saying, like, hey, I'm going to bring your car back to the hotel so that, you'll know your car is safe. Can you, meet me there so I can give you the key? So, okay, so I don't go to the beach. I end up going back to the hotel. And the guys that brought my car back, they kind of, fill me in on what was going on, and I was just like, oh my God, do you want some scotch? So we we have a little scotch in the room, and I'm thinking, like, okay, what do I do? Do I go down to the beach and try and find him, or should I just give him a little while? Or like, I don't know. I'm not sure what to do. But eventually he ends up back at the hotel, dragging this wagon full of, like, whatever of his stuff wasn't in the car, and like about 3 pounds of sand. Now I don't know where he got the wagon. It just like kind of appeared out of nowhere. So there's his wagon, and there's like, oh my God, you guys, there's like a trail of sand through the entire hotel. And he's like obviously not doing well, and I'm just I definitely felt like I didn't want to be there, and as luck would have it, I start, and it's already very late by this time. I mean, it's like 2:00 in the morning at this point, or later. So I mean, I start getting messages, hey, we're going to the beach, do you want to, the night's been pretty rough, do you want to come with us and hang out? So I was like, oh my God, thank you, yes. And so I leave the room, my, roommate's gone to sleep, and I go down to the beach with some friends, and that's fine. I make it back to the room in the very wee hours of the morning, and, get just a couple of hours of sleep myself. All right, so day 3, Saturday. He gets up in the morning and, starts getting all his stuff ready to go down to the beach and set everything up. But he starts yelling at me about the night before. I wasn't even there. I don't even know what happened. I mean, I heard people tell me things. But he's yelling at me about it like it's my fault, and then proceeds to say that it's everybody else's fault and had nothing to do with him whatsoever. And that just, I really, I didn't really say anything at that point, just kind of smile and nod. But, that really, I I am not used to being yelled at, okay, particularly about stuff that doesn't have nothing to do with me. But like, I just kind of spent the morning in the hotel wondering like what the hell I should do about that. And finally I'm just like, okay, screw it. I'm gonna go back to the convention. I'm gonna try and have a good time for the rest of the weekend. So I end up back at the convention for a while. And I have to tell you something, my furries. There's something that happens to me at furry conventions. There's something that happens to me when I am in the same physical space as a bunch of other furries, particularly furries in fursuit. I'm not gonna be all weird and be like, oh, I become a completely different person, but like, it's just more of like a feeling. It's this weird feeling of like togetherness and oneness and acceptance and inclusion. It's all of those things and none, but all wrapped up together. And it just I've described before what being a furry feels like to me as a big warm hug in the safest of places. I still feel like that. So yeah, spent some more time at the convention. Now Saturday was a little bit crazy because a lot of people wanted to meet me. This kind of happens to me everywhere I go. I don't know if it's just a YouTube thing or I'm on Telegram or whatever it is, but like lots of people want to meet me, and it's Saturday. There, I was just getting way more of those requests than I could possibly handle. There's only so many hours in the day and so much time I can carve out to meet with just one person. So the way I normally handle that is I just start telling people, hey, I'm going to be at the convention. I'll be here at this time. Come say hi, or I'm going to be at the dance tonight. Come over, say hi. But I did end up meeting actually with quite a few people on Saturday. It's just, there's only so many of those like individual meetings an old wolf can do. So at some point I end up back at the convention again, and I'm the car show's going on, so I was able to check that out a little bit. That was cool. And it was funny because as I'm walking from the hotel to the convention, like I didn't know there was going to be music, and like they had a DJ at the car show. I didn't know that was going to be there, so I'm hearing the music, and I'm thinking it's from the beach. I'm like. And I knew that they had set up much closer on Saturday than they did on Friday. So I'm thinking it's the beach. But once I get down to where I'm crossing the street to go to the convention, I'm like, oh, I see. It's coming from the convention center, because they had it was all in the parking lot. That was cool. So yeah, end up back at the convention, and as far as I can tell by reading the chat, as far as I can tell, everything's going really well. Down on the beach, there's like a lot of people at the party, everybody's having a good time. Cool. So all right, I head back to the convention center, and I'm kind of like hanging out there for a while, and I'm there for the guest of honor / patron dinner. This was really the highlight of the entire convention for me, my furry friends. Like I was already feeling a little like not great because of everything that had already happened the weekend up till then. And, I know I shouldn't let certain things bother me, but it just does. That's just the way I am. And so, I'm waiting to get into the dinner, right? And everybody's kind of lined up, and I'm there completely by myself. And, I'm kind of thinking like, well, maybe I'll see, and because I knew there was going to be at least one or two people at the dinner that I did already know, but I was there by myself, and there's this like group of really cool people in front of me in line, and they're like making jokes and talking about stuff I'm interested in, and it is the weirdest thing, my furries, because I am very much an introvert when I am not Fenric, and so. Under any other circumstance other than furries, I would never have done this. But I was just like, hey, I'm here by myself, and I was just wondering if it'd be okay if I sat at your table for dinner. And of course, they were completely welcoming, and they all seemed very fascinated with me when I said I'd been a furry for less than a year. Because, I was the only one at the dinner. Once again, I seem to be the only one at places sometimes. But I was the only one at the dinner in full fursuit. So obviously I was fursuiting at the convention and didn't go back to the hotel to change or anything. So yeah, I mean, obviously I took my head off. But like, yeah, I was in the full thing throughout the dinner. And, it was fun. We kind of went around the table and everybody said their name and something about ourselves. And like, I honestly really just had the best time almost with the entire convention at that dinner. The dinner itself was Hawaiian food. And I mean, that's, fine. It was like Kahlua pork and mac salad and potato salad and rice and stuff like that. The problem is, my furry friends, I am diabetic. And I really shouldn't have been eating any of that stuff. And I had forgot my blood sugar testing kit at home on the first day. Now, my convention roommate was like, oh, I know somebody that's diabetic. Like, if you need a test, I'm sure I could, hook you up with him. And I was like, no, it's fine. I will just need to be very careful about what I eat over the weekend. And my furry friends, I really was not. So, after that dinner, since it was all kinds of carby stuff that I wasn't supposed to eat, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to walk this off. That is literally nature's insulin if you could do enough walking. So I had somebody else to meet, because my Saturday was basically just meeting people. So I had somebody else to meet, and so I knew it was quite a long walk to go meet that person. So that was... Whoa! I'm okay. Fenric's okay. Fenric's okay. Where the hell was I? Meeting people. Oh, yeah, so after that meeting, I actually had somebody else to meet with. So I ended up at Ocean Pours. Ocean Pours is this little tap house that's like right next to my hotel. So I was supposed to meet somebody there, and so I show up there, and there's like a tiny little inside area, but there's like a outside area that's covered as well, and so there's a lot of people outside, and so everybody's there drinking. I'm having a Diet Coke, and we start seeing lightning. And I'm thinking like, uh-oh. And, everybody's doing the thing where you like see the lightning and then you count till you hear the thunder. And then you're like, oh my God, the storm's coming closer. And I have to tell you, my furry friends, being in that place, it was way after dark at this point. So being in that place in like at night in the dark, with a bunch of drunk furries was definitely an interesting experience. Because every time there would be lightning, everybody would howl. Howl at the lightning like it's a midnight howl on the beach or something. Yeah, that was drunk furries. I don't know. Eventually, the storm reaches Ocean Shores. And it's a hell of a storm. I mean... Ocean Pours is right, because I kind of felt like the equivalent of an entire ocean was being dumped on us. So I mean, it's very, very heavily raining. And my car's still out on the beach, right? Because there's still a party going on out on the beach. But so we all end up having to sit out there like under the thing in the dark, because the person from the bar comes out and she's like, oh, we can't have the lights plugged in with the storm. So yeah, we're all kind of like there in the dark. And so okay, all right. So yeah, I go back to the hotel. I'm worried about my car. I'm thinking like, oh my God, it's going to get stuck in the sand on the beach from the rain. And I'm checking the chat, and they're like, they covered everything when the storm was at its worst, and then once it kind of stopped raining, they just continued. So the party was happening on the beach, basically, is what I understand. So I'm looking at the weather, and I'm seeing that there's still a chance that it might rain more, and I'm like, well, damn, I don't want to be walking back from the convention and getting my head wet if it's raining. So I almost didn't go back to the convention on Saturday night. So eventually I figure out what to do. I had brought a jacket with me. I just didn't want to wear the jacket back to the convention. I suppose I could have just carried it. But my thought was, well, if it's raining when I leave the convention, I can at least cover my head with my jacket. I mean, take my head off, cover it with my jacket, and, hopefully it won't get that wet. So what I ended up doing was stuffing my jacket and my hat into the Furvana backpack, and I wore the backpack back to the convention on Saturday night. Now, I didn't really do a whole lot. It was basically just mingling and hanging out with people and attending the dance party. So after the dance party, after the convention is over, the way after midnight, I'm heading back to the hotel. I think I'm going to turn in for the night, but I actually end up meeting with somebody again and then partying. And long story short, I do not get any sleep whatsoever on Saturday night. All right, so day 4, Sunday. Now, bear in mind at this point that I had not been to bed Saturday night at all. So Sunday morning, about 7 o'clock, I am finally like, oh my God, I absolutely have to sleep. I am running on empty. So I'm getting ready to go to sleep at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I pick up my phone to set an alarm because there was still some convention stuff I wanted to get to on Sunday. And as I picked up my phone to do that, I see messages about my car being dead on the beach because you see the rave went all night on the beach. So now the battery in my car is dead, just as I assumed it would be, with them leaving the doors and tailgate open and all that stuff. So I'm really pissed off at this point. I was kind of feeling through the entire weekend that there was a little bit of an attitude. I have to tell you guys, okay, I am very old school. I appreciate a please and thank you, So as opposed to just kind of barking orders at people and expecting compliance. So I was already getting pretty pissed off by by this point of the weekend. And so I, unfortunately, my furry friends, had a big meltdown in the chat. So there was a chat where we were trying to coordinate some of these beach activities, and I just had a complete meltdown, and it wasn't good, my furry friends. If there's a lot I wish I could have done differently or changed about my own behavior over that weekend, but that was really the worst of it. I'm not going to repeat anything I said, but the gist of it was just hey, I'm not one of your ass kissers. But anyway, I'm all upset. I end up getting dressed, walking down to the beach. I'm being told not to come, but at this point I'm like, it's my fucking vehicle, So, and by the way, for this eventuality, for the battery dying, I keep a charged up starter in this vehicle, which they all knew about. So anyway, I'm walking down to the beach, and I see my vehicle driving towards me. At least what I think is my vehicle, and yes, it turned out to be. And they had, some smart person had actually figured out how to use the starter and connect it up to the battery and start my car. So, by the way, I don't know who did that, but kudos to you. Thank you so much. So they got it started, but then I had to go, drive it around for a while. And I'm already running on absolutely no sleep. So I drive the damn car around Ocean Shores for half an hour, and I'm just so tired by then. So I go back to the hotel and zonk the hell out. And oh, my furry friends, I forgot to set an alarm. I slept for most of the day. And so when I finally woke up Sunday afternoon, I was like, oh my God, I missed all this stuff at the con I wanted to go to. But I can still make it back for the dance party. So I'm kind of, starting to get ready to do that, to head out and do that. And roommate shows up at the room. He wasn't there all the night before because the beach party went all night, and he wasn't there anytime during the day on Sunday until this moment. So he ends up back at the room, and he's asking me if I'm going to the official party at the convention, and I'm like, yeah, of course I am. And he's like, okay, well, maybe I'll see you there. So he takes off, and I eventually go over there, and it's the last night of the convention. So, I'm kind of dancing my ass off in there because I want to squeeze every last moment of joy that I possibly can out of what was basically an unsalvageable weekend. So I'm in the Headless Lounge quite a bit, and my furry friends, everybody had pretty much left the convention at that point because this was like late Sunday night. So there were like maybe 20 people on the dance floor. But it was fun. I mean, I had a great time, and when the night was just about over, and I'm leaving to go back to the hotel, I see him like sitting there, and he gives a friendly wave, and I'm just kind of like, okay, maybe everything's cool. And so I go back to the hotel, and I kind of start working on packing and stuff, and that was pretty much it. I don't see him again until about 3 o'clock in the morning. So 3 o'clock in the morning, Monday. All right, so day 5, which is Monday. Although at the start of this, I'm sure you could probably actually call it Sunday night, because roommate gets back to the hotel room at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And, I don't know, by 4 o'clock, how do I even say this? And my furry friends, we are definitely not really getting along at this point. The tensions have sort of been rising through the whole weekend. And apparently he is like upset that I, didn't spend more time at his events and stuff. And I was a little bit actively trying to avoid him because I just, I knew he was getting pretty angry with me, and I didn't want to stress anybody out or anything. So, but look, I am not going to go into the details, but there was, let's just say, a verbal altercation, mostly one-sided. And the thing that really got to me, I've tried not to be super specific in all of this stuff about the weekend, but this is the one that I just can't get away from. He told me a lot of horrible things, actually. Yelled at me yet again. But the thing that really got me was he accused me not once but several times of not being a real furry. He said I'm just faking it. Yeah, that one really hurt, and I really just didn't know how to respond to that. So, all right, he gets super angry with me. He takes all of his stuff and he leaves the hotel room, and I'm just like, okay, checkout's 11. I mean, I guess, show up if you want a ride back and for me to haul all your stuff back. So, okay. So I end up going to bed for a few hours. And then, I have my alarm set. I get up and I, pack all my stuff up, get the car packed up. It's 11. He's nowhere to be found. I'm trying to give him a little bit of time, but eventually I DM him and I'm like, are you going to be much later? Because if you are, I'll go get breakfast and I'll meet you back here. And he's like, no, I'll be there soon. I'm going to get all my stuff out of your car. You don't need to take me home. So honestly, that was kind of a relief by then. So, okay, eventually he shows up with his friends. He puts all the stuff in, transfers all the stuff from my car to the vehicle he's taking it home in, I guess. And I'm just trying to stay as far away from him as possible. But we do exchange a couple of DMs, and I'm just like, look, this is like the last day you'll see me. Don't worry about it. And he's just like, yeah, I think that's for the best. So we basically just agreed to, not see or talk to each other again. And the very last thing he ever said to me was, once they got all the stuff out of my car, I was walking away to go get breakfast, and he says, "Have fun, dude." I don't know. So, all right. So I go to get breakfast and, come back, get my car. They're gone by then. And I take my car to go get gas. And as I'm driving to the gas station, I realize there's like something all over the inside of my windshield. Now, I don't know how you get something all over the inside of a windshield. Like, how do you even do that? What even was that? I mean, it looked like mud or something. Maybe it was projectile vomit for all I know. I don't know. But I definitely had to, spend some time getting that cleaned up. So I'm at the gas station. And I'm gassing up my car for the drive home, and I'm just standing there, and suddenly I notice there's like pieces of my vehicle missing. Like, I don't even know how that happens. Like, what the hell were they even doing out there on the beach? All right, so right then and there, I had another little mini meltdown about that in my Telegram chat, and then I had the 3-hour drive home. 3 hours alone to reflect on and process the events of the weekend. I was definitely upset about the car, but honestly, losing pieces of my car in Ocean Shores somehow feels like the least significant loss from that weekend. What really broke me wasn't mechanical, it was emotional. I had that complete meltdown in the beach coordination chat. And in that moment, I lost something far more personal. My sense of dignity, my composure, and probably the good faith of people who didn't really know me well yet. You don't really get a second chance to make a first impression, and I know I did not make the one that I hoped to. So yeah, I've basically lost the entire social group I was so excited to be a part of, like the one I was talking about in my Where Has Fenric Been video. I lost the positive feelings I would have had surrounding that weekend. And most painfully, I lost my way there in Ocean Shores. That weekend left me with more questions than closure, but I am still here. I'm still trying to make sense of it. All right. So I didn't leave Ocean Shores with the memories I hoped for. Instead of feeling positive and recharged, I felt wrecked. Emotionally, socially, maybe even spiritually. It's hard to explain how much it hurts to lose not just what could have been a worthwhile friendship, but also a sense of belonging and self-worth in the same breath. I'm not a real furry. But you know what? As the days passed, it's been about 2 weeks now, I started to realize something. The pain of that doesn't erase who I am. It doesn't undo the joy I felt just being around other furries at the Furvana convention, or what I'm able to bring to the table right alongside them. Regardless of what was said to me, it didn't make my furriness any less real. So while that weekend marked the end of some things, it wasn't the end of me, and it wasn't the end of my place in this community. So yeah, that was my Furvana weekend, y'all. It turned out to be an unforgettable mix of joy and heartbreak, but unfortunately, mostly heartbreak. I don't blame anyone but myself for the weekend going south. Ultimately, my experience was colored by my own questionable decisions, whether that was choice of roommate or lending my car or just plain old lack of sleep. 6-2-1 rule, everybody. It's a good rule. I am still processing what happened, especially the way things ended. Being told I'm not a real furry by someone I actually considered almost a friend and actually looked up to at one point in time was absolutely devastating. That shook something deep in me, and honestly, I don't know if I'll ever fully get over it. That had me questioning myself for a while. But here's what I do know. My love for this fandom, for the creativity and connection it brings, is real. It is not something I feel like I need to prove, because it lives in the content I make. It lives in the friendships I build. It lives in my interactions with all of you, and it lives in the way I continue to show up and participate, even when it gets damn hard to do. This video isn't just a recap of a shitty weekend. It's a reminder that we can all hold space for both celebration and grief. The two things can coexist, like an awesome furry convention and a miserable weekend otherwise. Healing doesn't necessarily mean forgetting. It means honoring what we've been through and carefully choosing how we move forward. You know, I was watching a video the other day by another furry YouTuber about the different ways people find friendship within the fandom. Now, the gist of it was basically that there's popufurs and everybody else. He used the popufur term, but he also broke it down to creators and consumers. And he was kind of making the points that, you know, the creators tend to be friends with other creators and the consumers with other consumers. And, you know, okay, while some of his points were probably valid, I really dislike the idea of the us and them mentality when it comes to that, because I just don't see things that way. Everyone that is watching this right now contributes by just watching this, as much as I'm doing by making it. And y'all comment. You share your stories and heartfelt sympathy and kindness with me every time I post a video. If that isn't true creation and engagement right there, I don't know what is. I have some of the best commenters in the whole damn fandom. So on that note, if you've ever had a convention experience that was complicated or painful, well, obviously you're not alone. But if you feel like sharing your story, go ahead and drop a comment. Because we are all still here, still creating, still connecting, and still engaging. And that, my furry friends, is the best part of this fandom. I'm staying wolfy.